Megan Brown from the BakerMama here. Serving a beautiful cheese and charcuterie board should be easy and enjoyable for all. I'm building this on my signature board, which is so great because it has a guide on it that you can use to know where to put each item on the board. It also comes with an ingredient list that you can use when you go shopping at the store. You can order this board on boardsbythebakermama.com. It's such a great board to add to your collection and will really build your confidence and excitement in building boards for your loved ones. I'm excited to share some of my best tips and techniques. So let's get started. I always start by putting small serving bowls on the board first that have any sort of jam or jelly or honey in them. I also put any brined items in mini serving bowls like your olives and your cornichones. Great additions and items that I put on all of my boards. I highly recommend you get the olives that are already pitted. There's nothing more awkward than standing around at a party and having to pull an olive pit out of your mouth. It just makes everyone uncomfortable. Next, we're gonna put our cheeses on the board. When it comes to the cheeses, I really recommend that you serve them at room temperature. Cheeses have their best taste and texture when they're served at room temperature. But when it comes to slicing the cheeses, you want to make sure they're cold. So if you plan to prepare your board with pre-sliced cheeses, be sure and slice them right out of the refrigerator. I already put a block of Gouda on the board first. Next, I have a double cream brie. Brie is a wonderful cheese. It's creamy, it has a nice savory taste to it. And with this brie, I'm going to go ahead and slice it into small wedges. Okay, I have my brie beautifully arranged on the board. Next, we're going to slice and crumble an aged white cheddar. So I've got my slices of aged white cheddar, and next I'm gonna crumble the other half. And how I do this is I use a cheese fork. This is one of my favorite little cheese knives to add to a board because it's easy to pick things up with, but also you can easily crumble your cheddar into crumbles. As you can see, as I'm placing items on the board, it's all about variety and placing the items, spreading them out across the board. So I've got cheese in different spots. I'm gonna add my meats in different spots. You want to make sure that no matter where people are approaching the board from, they have a great selection of cheeses, meats, and accompaniments to choose from. If you're serving the board in the middle of a table and people aren't going to be grazing around it, I usually recommend that every so often you rotate the board, especially if it's a long board or a round board where it's hard to reach on one side or the other. Just rotate it a little bit so everyone has a new variety of goodies to choose from. Here I've got salami, two different kinds. I've got a plain mild salami, I've got a peppered salami, and of course I have prosciutto. Three favorites that everyone always enjoys. I want to show you a really fun tip, a way to make salami beautiful if you can do that. What you'll need is a shot glass or a wine glass or really any glass, but the smaller the glass, the smaller the roast. So if you're gonna use a larger glass, you're gonna need a lot of slices of salami. And what you're going to do is just fold each salami slice over each other onto the edge of the shot glass. You wanna make sure you can see the bottom of the glass at all times. Here we're gonna make about 3 to 4 layers of salami, and as you can see, it's folding over nicely, and then I just kind of pinch around. That's our first layer. And next, I'm just going to add another layer. And we're gonna continue that until we have a nice, thick rows to lay on the board. So we've got that on the board, and next we are going to fold the peppered salami. You take one slice, fold it in half once, and fold it in half another. And then you just place the slices in between two of your fingers until you can't fit any more of them in there, and then you'll arrange them on the board. Next, we're gonna add prosciutto to the board. Prosciutto is a favorite. It goes so quickly when I serve it on boards, and it's so great paired with fruits or just a cracker and all of the different cheeses. Okay, we have all of our meats on the board. Now we are going to add some fruit. We're gonna start with grapes. I love to put grapes on a board because they're kind of like a palate cleanser. They also add texture and beauty to the board and are so great for snacking on. I'm gonna save the apple and pear for last. It's one of my most commonly asked questions, and you'll stay tuned and I'll tell you how best to serve those on a board so they don't brown. Next, we're going to add crackers to the board. This is a wonderful selection that I'm adding to the board today. I've got a good variety, and that's the great thing about crackers, is you can use them to add variety and taste and texture to your board. We're starting with just a simple, flat, long, salted cracker. These are great, they're neutral, they go with everything, and they serve as just little placeholder, or little plates to get all of your cheeses and meats and accompaniments to your mouth. Okay, next we have fig and olive crisp. These are so fun and delicious on a board because they have a great texture. They have fruit and seeds baked right into them. They're really crisp, and I love the size because they're just a one bite wonder when it comes to building combinations on a board. Okay, finally, I have 3 crackers on this board. These are salted pita crackers. They're, again, a great small size, perfect for one bite. Next, we have our dried fruits. And these dried apricots, they go on every single board that I create. I just love dried apricots. And again, they pair so well with the cheeses. Okay, next I have some dried cherries. These are wonderful. They're great for snacking on. They're sweet and chewy. Just a nice addition to boards. I love putting dried fruits on the board. You can certainly go seasonal and find items that are in season. Okay, next we're gonna put some glazed pecans on the board. These are my favorite. They pair so well with all the different cheeses on the board, but also they just have a nice sweet texture. Next I have Marcona almonds. There's a great selection of Marcona almonds out there. I got these rosemary dusted Marcona almonds, but you can get truffle ones or just plain sea salted. Okay, it's time for the apple and pear. So, like I said, everyone asks me, how do you keep your apples and pears from browning on a cheese and charcuterie board? And I say, wait to put them on the board last and expose as little of the white part as possible. Otherwise, do not do anything else. Do not brush them with lemon or soak them in salt water because that messes with the natural sweetness of the fruit that pairs so well with all the beautiful foods you already have on the board. So trust me, if you get a good ripe pear or apple, I love Honeycrisp, great apples to include on a board, you won't have any issues with them browning. Just slice them thin, and when you place them on the board, expose as little of the white as possible. There is nothing worse. I've had boards where people have brushed their apple or pear with lemon, and there's just nothing worse than biting into a combination of an apple with a little bit of cheese on it and getting this punch of lemon. It just ruins it. So trust me, do not do that. They will not brown that fast over time. I promise you, I've served boards for many hours. I've served boards for many hours and have never had an issue with our apples or pears browning too fast. And plus, everyone loves apples and pears. They're almost like another cracker option on the board, and they go really fast. When it comes to some of my favorite combos, pears with a little bit of prosciutto wrapped around them are absolutely delicious. I also love aged white cheddar on a cracker with some fig jam, so delicious. And like I said, that apricot with the creamy brie and a drizzle of honey. You've got the chew from the apricot, you've got the salty creaminess from the brie, and then just that touch of sweetness from the honey. Out of this world delicious. Another common question I get is, what do you do with all the leftovers? Well, one thing I say is try to serve your board so that you don't have leftovers. Take into account how many people you're serving and the occasion you're serving it for, whether it be an appetizer or a meal, and select the items to go on the board just enough to make and satisfy everyone. If you do have leftovers, some of my favorite ways to use them are to make a chopped Italian salad. You can chop up the meats, crumble a little cheese in there, put an Italian vinaigrette on it with some crisp romaine, and it is delicious. We also like to make sandwiches with the leftover meats and cheeses, as well as use them as pizza toppings. To finish off the board, we're gonna garnish it with a little bit of rosemary. This is just beautiful addition to the board, but also it tastes great combined with some of the cheeses. So I recommend that you try it next time you are building a board. And really we're just adding a little bit here and a little bit there to garnish it. Certainly not necessary, but also a fun way to just make your board all the more beautiful. And ta-da! That is all there is to it. I'm just gonna add some cheese knives, a little honey drizzler. Love this. A spoon for the fig jam. I also like to serve my boards with little plates so that everyone has a place to put their food on, as well as little spreaders so they can spread and arrange their bites as they wish. When it comes to cheese knives, I have 4 of my favorites that I put on the board. I have a hard cheese knife. I'll serve that with the Gouda. I have a soft cheese knife, which I will serve alongside the Brie. And then of course I have the cheese fork that I'm gonna serve with that crumbled cheddar. Place those around the board, and that is all there is to it. I hope that you found these tips and techniques helpful. And I hope that you add this board to your collection so that you can build a beautiful cheese and charcuterie board for your loved ones to enjoy. Have fun!